Picture this. You're sitting in the boardroom, your CEO is mid-sentence, and suddenly, out of nowhere, they stop and they turn directly at you. What do you think we should do? Every single set of eyes in the room is on you now. And your brain, that one that's been trusting everything that you've learned for 20 years, goes completely blank. Here's what most people do in that moment. They panic. They over-explain. They pull back. They say something like, well, there's a lot of factors to consider, which, by the way, tells the room one thing. You totally lost yourself in the middle of that one look. That moment right there, it's not a confidence problem. It's not a preparation problem. It's a composure problem. And here's the thing, my friends, it is 100% trainable. Welcome to Peak Performance Mindset. I'm Megan DeVito, a performance mind coach, a swim coach, and somebody who believes that your mental game drives everything. Today, we're talking about executive composure, what it actually is, why even the most prepared, most experienced leaders lose their minds in high-stakes moments, and I'm going to walk you through the exact three-part framework that I use with my clients to train composure before the pressure takes them under. Because here's the truth. The leaders who get promoted aren't always the ones with the best strategy. They're the ones who can stay clear-headed, grounded, and keep thinking when everything else around them is falling into chaos. So let's get to it. Okay, so I want to start by blowing up the biggest myth that I hear from executives, and I hear it a lot. They say to me, but Megan, I just need to be less emotional, or I need to stop caring so much. And listen to me, please. Composure is not about being cold and emotionless. In fact, if you try to shut down your emotions when the pressure heats up, your performance actually gets worse. Not better, worse. Here's what composure actually is. It's nervous system regulation. It's training your brain and your body to stay regulated enough that you can still access the thinking part of your brain, the part that makes decisions, that reads the room, communicates with authority, that has creative thoughts, even when you're under pressure, even when there's high stakes going on around you. Make sense? There's a massive difference between suppressing what you feel and regulating how you respond. One shuts you down and makes you look like a robot. The other one keeps you in the game and makes you look like the leader that everybody wants to follow. So here's what's actually happening in that boardroom moment when your mind goes blank. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, even when it's frustrating. The pressure goes up. So for example, when your CEO puts you on the spot, or when the negotiations turn sideways, when your team starts looking to you for an answer and you don't have it yet, your brain reads that as a threat. And the second it reads the threat, it pulls resources away from this part of your brain, the thinking part, the prefrontal cortex that's responsible for clear thinking and decisions and emotional intelligence, everything you need in that moment. And it sends those resources instead to your survival responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. You don't go blank because you're not smart enough. You don't go blank because you haven't prepared. You go blank because your brain is genuinely trying to protect you and keep you alive. It just can't tell the difference between a bear in the woods and a boardroom full of executives. So with that old advice, just calm down. Just be more confident. Hasn't actually worked for you? This is why. You can't think your way out of a threat response. You have to train your way out of it. You have to learn to regulate your nervous system on purpose. Here's what I want you to lean into, because this is the part that most leadership programs completely skip over. They teach you what composure looks like: strong posture, a steady voice, decisive communication, and that's all great. That's real stuff. But they don't teach you how to train the way that your body feels on the inside, that internal state that makes all of those things possible. That's the gap. And that gap is exactly why brilliant, experienced leaders still freeze when it counts. Let's call this framework the Composure Code. 3 steps, my friends, and the order matters. This isn't a menu, it's a sequence. But before I walk you through it, if you're already thinking, I really need this for this thing that I've got coming up, you can do a free performance audit with me. The description's below. It takes about 45 minutes. It's completely free, and I'm going to show you exactly where your composure falls apart and what to work on first. Look for the link in the description. Step 1 is to regulate your nervous system. And this is the piece that people don't talk about that much. Before you say a word, before you make a decision, before your first job is to get your nervous system out of threat mode. The fastest tool that I teach my clients is to monitor their breathing. 2 inhales through your nose and 1 long, slow exhale through your mouth. That's it. It takes about 4 seconds. And physiologically, it down-regulates your nervous system. Nobody in the boardroom will even know that you're doing it. Here's the key principle underneath this whole framework: calm first, then execute, not the other way around. If you try to execute while you're still all wired or activated, If you try to find the right words while your brain is still in survival mode, it's too late. You have to create space first. Regulate first, always. Step 2 is redirect. Once your nervous system has even just a little bit of space, and we're talking like 3 seconds here, not minutes, you redirect your focus from the threat to the choice that you want to make. And here's what I mean. When your brain's in threat mode, it's asking the wrong questions like, what's wrong here? What could go wrong? Who's mad at me? What did I mess up? How bad is this going to get? And that loop just keeps you stuck reacting over and over. You have to break that loop, and you can do it with one question. What can I control right now? It sounds simple, I know, but it does something really powerful inside of you. It moves your brain from reactive processing to internal processing. You go from being somebody that things happen to being someone who chooses how to respond. And that right there is the difference between a manager and a leader. I talk about this a lot. And honestly, one of my favorite shows, Ted Lasso, says it a lot better than I can. Be curious, not judgmental. Stop judging the situation. Get curious about your choices, and that changes everything. And step 3 is to respond. Now you speak. Now you decide. Now you act. But you are doing it from a regulated, redirected place, not from panic, not from ego, and not from fear. This is what separates leaders who are genuinely calm under fire from the ones who are just like hanging on and hoping that nobody notices. The ones who've trained this. They've built that pathway inside their brains. They've practiced regulation, they've redirected, and they've responded so many times that when the pressure hits, it's automatic. Pressure rewards commitment. It doesn't reward hesitation. But commitment has to come from a trained mind, not from a panicked one. Regulate, redirect, respond. That's the Composure Code. That's what we're working on. So let me tell you about a client that I worked with recently. I'm going to keep it general, but the story's real. She was a director at a large company, incredibly smart, incredibly experienced, and she kept having the same thing happen in executive presentations. The moment that someone pushed back on her opinion or her numbers or her knowledge, she felt her face turn bright red and her chest tighten and her voice would kind of like shake and she'd pull back just enough for her to notice it, but enough for other people to notice it too. She had been trying to fix this for 2 years by preparing more, by knowing her data better, by rehearsing her answers to questions that she didn't even know that they were going to ask. And I wanted you to hear this. She was already one of the most prepared people in the room she walked into. Preparation was not the problem. Her nervous system had never been trained for a threat response. We spent 4 weeks on this framework. Week 1, she practiced the sigh. Breathe in and exhale every single morning as a habit, just practicing breathing, building that physical muscle memory. Week 2, we worked on her redirect question. What can I control right now? Week 3, we ran live pressure scenarios in our coaching calls, interruptions, hard questions, data that didn't make sense. And she practiced how she wanted to respond with a regulated nervous system. And by the end of week 4, she called me after a presentation where she asked for a promotion and a raise. And she said, "You're not going to believe this. I got the raise and the promotion." Someone challenged her, asked her what she deserved, and she told them. She was calm, she was clear, she was confident, she was direct. That isn't a personality change. That was a trained skill. So here's what I want you to take away from today. Executive composure is not a trait that you're born with. It's not something that people just have and other people don't. It's a skill. And like every skill worth having, it is built through intentional training, not through hoping that you'll do a better job next time. Regulate first, redirect your focus, then respond. Leave me a comment below. I want to know which step of this composure code that you need to work on the most. Do you need to learn to regulate, to redirect, or how to respond? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you are serious about training this before your next high stakes meeting, grab a free audit with me, 45 minutes, completely free, and it will show you exactly where to start. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And until next time, remember, pressure isn't the problem. Your untrained mindset is.